Hey everyone, this is Jason Brungart. I wanted to make this quick video to talk about the 7 most expensive maintenance items that you need to pay attention to in springtime. Now, if you like this video, I've made a comprehensive list of 26 total items that I recommend that you check. These 7 are included in on that, but I wanted to bring this video to you first and foremost because they're the most expensive. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get rolling. Okay, so the very first one that you want to pay attention to is your roof. So obviously the winters are pretty harsh on materials, but especially your roof. We've got sleet, snow, freeze, thaw, temperature swings. These things can be really hard on your roof. You want to look for curling in your shingles and missing granules. That's the texture on top. Any cracking, anything like that. If the granules are missing, and that's the sandy part up on top that actually protects the shingle and gives it its color. If you see that coming loose, it's normally not that big of a deal if you take care of it quickly. But as with all maintenance items, they become bigger and bigger problems the more that we ignore them. And the next thing you know, the area just expands to the point where now we're replacing a large section of the roof or the entire roof, or worst case, we could end up replacing some of the roof decking underneath. The next place that you want to pay special attention to is the gutters. So this is something that's usually done during the fall, but I highly recommend that you look in the springtime as well, because we just assume that we cleaned it out in the fall. There's nothing that we're going to have to look for in the springtime. And a lot of times, it's wintertime, we're not really paying attention what could really fall on top of the roof. Well, you'd be surprised, a lot of times, even when the gutters are clean, the downspouts are what get filled up. So my own personal story is we had a rental property that we purchased in December, and we got a call from a tenant probably about a month later saying that they had some flooding down in the basement. They didn't know what was going on. And this was my fault. This was something that I overlooked on the maintenance issues that we wanted to check for. I sent my guys out and they took a look, and sure enough, what had happened was that downspout had filled up with leaves and debris. And during a heavy rain, that water had no place to go. So it just overflowed, spilled out of the downspout up at the top, and then it fell down to the base of the foundation. Now, this normally wouldn't have been that big a deal, but I'm going to cover it in the next slide why it became a big deal in a hurry. But I would just say if you have it within your budget in order to get gutter guards, I'd highly recommend them. I had these placed in my house back in 2016, and I paid roughly $1,200 for them. And now I'm not getting up on top of the roof every single year and climbing around. I'm not having to pay anybody to clean them or clean them myself. They're just really, really worth what you pay for, what you get back out of it. So I would highly recommend it if you got it within your budget. But on to the downspouts. Once they meet the grade, you want to have them extend about anywhere from 4 to 6 feet away from your house. Now, this is why I had a problem once the water actually got to the ground, because I didn't have good compacted soil sloping away from the base of my house to get any water diverted out away. This is a big no-no, and obviously it leads to pooling up against the foundation. The water follows the foundation down and then seeps in underneath the slab. That's exactly what happened at the rental property. So you want to make sure you got good compact soil leading away from it, or away from your house. And in a situation where you have a downslope leading up against your house and the water is naturally going to pool there, a lot of times what you'll have to do is what's shown in this bottom right picture, which is put a perforated pipe underneath the ground, covered over the top with gravel, so that the water hits that gravel, seeps down below the gravel, gets picked up by the pipe, and gets taken away to be spilled away from the house at a lower elevation. The next place you want to take a look is the caulking around your doors and windows. Again, the freeze, the thaw, the sunlight, all these things are going to be tough on the caulking. And any place that you have transitions are going to be the places where you're most likely to have water infiltration. So if you see any discoloration, or if you see splitting, any peeling, anything like that, that's when you want to pull that up and you want to put a new bead of caulking down. Sometimes you might just be able to do a little bit of patchwork, but also, caulking tends to get discolored because of the dirt, and it just kind of looks ugly around the windows. So take a look at these areas, particularly in areas that are horizontal surfaces where any snow might be able to sit up for a while. And then you want to check for rotten siding or trim. Easiest way to do this is just, run around and take a look, see if anything is buckling or bubbling, or if it's starting to warp out of place. It's a pretty good indication that water has gotten in and it's starting to cause problems because the wood is now seeping the water up and it's freezing and thawing and just causing the wood to warp. So again, this is a pretty extreme picture, but it's a good indication of where things can go if you don't get on the maintenance issues early. So, any place that you have transitions, that's where you want to take a good bead of caulk, put it in there, make sure that it's just sealed and be difficult for water to get inside. Any transition or locations that you can see, obviously you can see the two pieces of trim butting up against each other here. So just take a close look and try to handle it quickly. And then you want to look at your weep holes at the bottom of your windowsills. A lot of people don't even know what these are, but to describe what they're for, think of driving rain being blown up against your window, and then it follows your window down and it starts filling up inside the trough of the window track. Well, there's little holes at the bottom of that window track that allow that water to escape and then spill out of these holes that are located on the exterior side of your house. So obviously, if these are clogged, then just like a bathtub with a plug inside of it, the water's going to fill up and eventually have no place to go except to spill over the track and come down where it can start causing big expensive problems like getting into the wood trim, the molding, the sheetrock. It can even get back behind the sheetrock and then cause really big damage where it starts rotting away the framing around the window. So easy way to clean these out is to take just a pipe cleaner and brush inside these holes, make sure that they're nice and clean, nice and free from debris. You can also take like an air hose and blow it in there. Worst comes to worst, you can pull out a screwdriver like you see here and pop these off and get a good cleaning behind it. Now, this seems like an obvious one, but I think most of us assume that our smoke detectors and our CO detectors are working properly. And I would just say, regularly checking the battery to make sure that first and foremost, the battery is working, or charged, it's kind of obvious, but when do we really do it, right? So I always make a recommendation that whenever we change our clocks during daylight savings time is a great time to check your batteries and also test your smoke detectors and your CO detectors. And the last one is making sure that your sump pump is working correctly. So this is something that obviously sits off in the corner. We don't pay much attention to it, or we hope we don't. But when it needs to work, it absolutely needs to work, or we're going to end up with big, expensive problems far beyond what has caused this thing to go off in the first place. So springtime's a good time to put some water down inside of it and make sure that it is actually pumping. There aren't any leaks in the pipes that are connected to the pump, and making sure that that pipe that is leading away is actually clear of any debris, so any water pumped into the pipe can, escape the pipe without any blockage. So this is our 7 most expensive items that you want to take a look at. And again, if you like this video, feel free to reach out to me and let me know, and I can get you a copy of it. You might have seen different links down below each one of these maintenance items that had a YouTube link. And that's a link showing you how to go through these various maintenance items in more detail. So thanks for watching. I hope it was helpful, and we'll see you next time.